Okay, this video deals with intelligence gathering, espionage. More specifically, the espionage aspect of ninjutsu. These espionage methods are based off of both modern and ancient techniques. So it's important to realize that what I'm talking about here is ninjutsu, but it's also modern ninjutsu. It's been refined. And to get into this, I'm going to outline basically what espionage, or at least espionage in the regards of the art of ninjutsu is about. The first aspect of espionage when it relates to ninjutsu is the act of gathering intelligence gathering. For this, there are essentially three types of intelligence which has been gathered from ancient times, and one type of intelligence which has only come into the usage in the last 100 years or so. Now, the first type of intelligence is human intelligence. This is third-party eyewitness accounts. This is someone telling an agent what had happened or what they had seen. And the agent, of course, has to gather evidence and put things together, much like a detective trying to solve a case. The second type of intelligence is eyes-on intelligence. This is the intelligence which commonly comes from scouts. The military scouts in Ninjitsu, for example, would gather eyes-on intelligence by observing enemy troop movements and observing enemy positions. Now, these agents would come back and report what they saw. Sometimes they would sketch maps and things of this nature and send them back to their rear guard or their headquarters, or however you want to explain it, or their person who hired them to give them the information. Now, the other type of intelligence, the third type of intelligence, is enemy intelligence. Enemy intelligence is information the enemy has that you steal from them. This can be enemy reports, enemy maps, battle plans, things of that nature, supply lists or supply routes, schedules for deliveries of supplies, things like that. I mention supplies a lot because if you can cut off an enemy's supplies, you stop the flow of men, beans, bullets, and band-aids. You keep them from getting resources to use and manpower. You hamper their ability to operate. Now, the fourth type of intelligence, which is only come out in the 20th century, is technological intelligence. This is intelligence where it has been gathered through technology. It's basically closed-circuit TVs, video bugs, audio bugs, spy satellites, spy planes. The pilot might fly the plane over an area, but the computer on the plane is always recording the information, and it's not the actual pilot doing it. Now, because you're talking about people gathering intelligence, there's also, of course, the need for counterintelligence. This is the use of misleading information, falsified information, allowing the enemy to steal what they think is your intelligence to gather, enemy intelligence for themselves, which is essentially falsified. Then, of course, you have, as we all know, the idea of infiltration. Now, infiltration is usually done by military scouts. The idea is they find a point from which to penetrate enemy territory unnoticed. It's common for infiltration to also involve smuggling or the exfiltration of personnel, such as the stolen enemy equipment or stolen enemy intelligence to get out. Infiltration is about finding routes into enemy territory. Sometimes scouts will lead the way and find the routes into an enemy's territory and lead infantry units through that route so that they can slide in unnoticed. Which is a little bit easier for them to get ground forces in by marching them in than, say, dropping them from a plane or a helicopter. This is also an easier way to get skirmish forces into an area, which would say ninja or highly skilled samurai to march into an area through an unguarded or unknown passage. means of passage. There's also sabotage, getting into an enemy's camp and hampering their ability to operate. The destruction of supplies, munitions, the poisoning of wells, the damaging of radio equipment or vehicles, things of that nature. There's also the idea of propaganda. Now, propaganda falls under the idea of counterintelligence, but propaganda is geared more towards targeting the civilian population, and of course there's counter-propaganda as well. But in either case, the goal of both propaganda and counter-propaganda is to indoctrinate and to direct the attitudes, the patriotism or the idealism either towards an enemy or away from the actions of one's own government, turn the people against them, so that the the infiltrating force that is behind the espionage propaganda is essentially seen as heroes and not villains. There's also the idea of using false flag operations. These are operations which are carried out on behalf of another group, or that are done and claimed to belong to another group. This is very common with espionage in, even in American history, the Gulf of Tonkin incident, for example. Where the term false flag comes from is because during the Dark Ages, when generals would march their armies out, they would have banners showing which regiment belonged to which unit, and many times people would change banners or adopt the banner of their enemy, so they appeared to have that their flanking forces were reinforcements coming to aid them, and then all of a sudden they were suddenly attacked by the supposed reinforcements. The idea of false flag operations, generally speaking, is to attack an enemy on while claiming to be someone else, usually a common enemy between you and the enemy whom you just attacked. Sometimes false flag operations are used by governments. For example, Hitler used a false flag operation to begin his invasion of Poland. And the idea is to attack yourself and blame it on someone else to give you the justification to go to war, the pretext to go to war. Sometimes false flag operations are used to attack an enemy and then blame it on a mutual enemy, so that you have three sides who don't like each other, and then two of the three sides are attacking each other, while the person who initiated the whole situation kind of sets back and waits for both of his enemies to weaken themselves. Then you also have proxy wars, in which case a good example of this would be the U.S. aid to the Mujahideen in Afghanistan during the Soviet invasion. That we armed them and we trained them, and we used them to fight a common enemy, which was the Soviet Union, without actually having to deploy American troops there, and to be able to claim that we weren't actually part of that whole operation, even though we were heavily invested in it. Espionage works, well, the purpose of espionage, and either way you go, is to weaken your enemy's defenses, to come at him from unexpected angles, and to redirect his attention away from other things, all at the same time finding chinks in his armor and manipulating him so that he sends his forces to places that you're not attacking and leaving other places open to be attacked. The idea of intelligence work, or espionage, or at least espionage in the sense of ninjutsu, is to misdirect, to deceive, and to maneuver, or to force your to bait your enemy into maneuvering their forces into areas which leave the areas you want to attack unguarded. There's various battlefield techniques for this, and you can look at Sun Tzu's Art of War to mention this, which cover this in detail. But you also have the overt method of warfare working behind the covert method of espionage warfare, to basically create a big blurry picture for the enemy, so they really can't tell. It all appears to be one big smoke screen of chaos and anarchy.